and we'll take it from there. Meeting agenda for this afternoon. First of all, I just want to double check you all can see my screen. Just want to make sure that we're good there. Dave's giving me thumbs up. Thanks. Meeting agenda 2 to 2:30 this afternoon. I'm going to do administrative meeting with the updates, and then 2:30 to 2:58. We'll open the door for kind of what opportunities should we be pursuing to promote U.S. National Grid, and then close things up and move forward. So once again, thanks for making the effort to join us this afternoon. The administrative meeting and updates. Right off the top, the roll call is already being collected automatically off the Zoom file. So we're good there. And I've cleared up any discrepancy if you didn't log in with your full name. So good shape. Recorder is on. We record it and we'll be making it available at some point in the future as I finish massaging things in terms of where stuff is being hosted and put in place. So from the floor, are there any changes, deletions, additions, whatever to the agenda? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay, so we're going to run the agenda as previously published, and we'll take it from there. So welcome, and reports is next up on the line. Are there any first-time attendees? I see someone by the name of Brenda Tomlinson. Have you joined us before, Brenda? Going once, going twice.
I have not. This is my first time joining the group.
I appreciate it, Brenda. Could you be sure to shoot me an email with your contact info so that we can bring you into distribution? And you can do that just by sending it to chair@usngi.org. Brenda, where are you located?
I'm the emergency management director in Wabasha County, Minnesota. So I'm actually in the city of Wabasha.
Ah, okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate that. We got some more Minnesota support. We like that. And then also I noticed that David Dodds, have you joined us before?
No, this is my first time as well.
Okay, thank you, David. Could you do the same as I asked of Brenda?
Will do.
Okay, appreciate that. And just a little bit about yourself would be great.
I'm a GIS coordinator in Polk County, Iowa, but I grew up in Minnesota, if that helps any.
Oh, everybody's welcome here. This isn't a Minnesota only thing. We've Polk County is
Des Moines.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Yeah, we've done a lot of work with Cedar. I always get it mixed up. Cedar Falls is the further one up the river, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, we've done a lot of work with them before. And is there anybody else that I did not call on that has joined us for the first time?
This is my first time on your Zoom, but I've had invitations for half a year.
And that's Ken. Gotcha. Understand. And then Carmen, you're up in Bayfield.
Yes, that's correct. Hello.
Okay. Hey, good to have you on board. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. So one of our ongoing efforts that we've been working on here is trying to get everything set up administratively so we have kind of a standard configuration as we move ahead with actually doing more of an extensive outreach effort starting later this year. So I'm going to walk through for the first time how we're going to run the section that belongs to the committee reports. And to do that, I'm going to start out with the report from the board of directors. And so that spins off of the June 27th board of directors meeting. And during that meeting, as you will well know, board of directors is responsible for mission accomplishment, official filings, operational oversight, and standards of conduct. The things that came forward out of that, we have a full board now. 9 folks on board that. And of the things they decided we should do going forward, and we can open some of these items up for discussion if you'd like to further on into the period today. Meeting format, it was decided that we wanted to trim it back to 1 hour to make it easier for folks to attend. 30 minutes up front doing admin, 30 minutes as an open forum. Training webinars, we are going to do from this point forward, we will be doing a self-standing program of USNG webinars and delivered as approved by the board as to what topic we want to address and who will be the presenter. And so that's the flag for me to tell you, we need some presenters. So if you're willing to present on some topic related to US National Grid, give us a holler, let us know. And once again, it's that chair@usngi.org email address to let me know. One of the other things we've decided to do to try to stimulate participation, attendees that come into one of these events, we're going to send out a hot wash-up report with the Zoom ICS for our next meeting, so you can plug that into your calendar and have that readily available. Then 30 days out, we'll send out a save the date email, 14 days out, MailChimp, and finally 1 day out, a reminder. So once again, all the things we're trying to do to try to get us better organized administratively so that we can more effectively work on the mission of promoting US National Grid. We should actually have a secretary's report in here. Randy Knipple is up in the Boundary Waters canoe area along the northern border of Minnesota, slapping mosquitoes right now, and I'm sure he's enjoying the heat on the water. So interesting situation, but he would be telling you at this point that Wednesday, October 11th at 2 p.m. in the afternoon will be the next time that this esteemed group will be meeting. That moves us on to the treasury report. So BJ, have you joined us yet? Are you here? Calling once, calling twice. I don't know. She must got eaten by the mosquitoes in northern Minnesota. So the treasury report that BJ would be passing along to you at this point, we have now established a dedicated USNGI account. The donation system is working very well in terms of passing through ShareGeo. And so for those of you that are joining us for the first time, the circumstance is that ShareGeo is extending its nonprofit status to this group until there's a determination made as to whether either we're going to disband or whether or not we're going to go forward as our own self-standing nonprofit. And as a result of that, there's a requirement, an IRS requirement that ShareGeo, if you will, collects a hosting fee from us, which is 5%. So there's roughly through the donation system, inbound right now, $570 has been, actually $600 was donated, and after the fee is taken off, it's $570 going into the bank. And earlier in the month, on July 18th, I met extensively with BJ Kolstead, who is the treasurer for this group, and all of the efforts or all of the passwords and whatnot to have control of anything to do with money for the group is in fact been passed over to BJ. And going forward, myself and BJ both have access to view the account. So that's the classic two-person monitoring of the account to make sure that BJ doesn't grab the piggy bank and make a run for the border. So that's the plan right now. And I see BJ is joining us as we speak. So BJ, it looks to me like you're perhaps in a eating establishment or something similar. What, do you have any capability to talk, or what's up?
Yeah, hi there.
Okay, good. So do you want to finish off anything on the treasury report?
One moment.
Are you in from hanging drywall?
I'm just trying to get my, okay, there we go. Can you hear me now?
We can, loud and
Oh,
clear.
boy. I'm sorry I'm late. So yeah, we did get, I just got in, of course, and Steve mentioned that we both have access to the Wings account. And the account right now has about 290 some dollars in it. So I missed the first part of your report, Steve, so I don't know how much more I
Yeah.
can add.
Yeah, and that's okay. And I just filled them in that there's approximately 570 inbound, so we should be sitting at roughly, what is that?
A lot.
Something. Yeah, enough enough for this group to survive for at least 2 years. So that's kind of a cool thing. Moving on to the next thing. So BJ, if you go ahead and mute, and we will move forward from here. The next item up would be the committee report from the admin committee. And I'm chairing that beast for the time being. And that largely maintains institutional files, official correspondence, board of director records, document standards, those sort of things. So we're continuing to transition out of the old records that have been collected basically since 2015 to get everything lined up so that going forward, it is in a solid structure that can be researched and searched and whatever. We're also continuing to build out the admin infrastructure, emails, things of that nature. Treasurer, as we just indicated, now has full control of money accounts. So that has been passed over to the treasurer function. And then the backside, the website backside, the board of directors support is the next project that'll be getting underway. And 2 new emails came online, secretary and treasurer. Those how you can reach the officers of the organization going forward. So that's the items that we're taking care of administratively. On the communication side, Mike Cord down at Florida State University has stuck up his hand and said he'll serve as the chair of that group. And the communications folks handle a contact database, graphic design, press release, a website, and social media. So a quick mention, the website front side is complete. I'd encourage you to take a tour of it if you haven't done so. Of specific note in that website are the news section and the endorsement section. In the news section, you'll find information as it relates to a number of incidents where U.S. National Grid could have facilitated a much better response than occurred. And the other thing with the endorsements pull down menu, you can see the range of organizations that have endorsed U.S. National Grid and the documents that support that endorsement or serve it up as a best practice activity. So Facebook account is now active. First post was done to support training event by Al Studd up in New York. And we will be continuing to build out that capability next with Twitter and LinkedIn. We're pending a policy discussion as to what kind of content we actually want to promote. And once that's in place, Mike's going to roll up his sleeves and start making things happen at a much more rapid pace. First press release, we're going to expect that to be pushed out in the 4th quarter of this year. And again, the intent there is going to be to make known to others about this effort and do that in kind of a pronounced way and getting it into publications in the GIS world and emergency response world. So there you go with that. Here's a somewhat dashboard. Everybody and every organization starts somewhere, and here's where we are. Our current contact database right now, there's 9 in there, of course, for the board of directors. What we call a bench, people that have been actively interested in the past, there's 43 in that listing. That's largely the group that receives the Zoom meeting notification for the direct links on it. And we've got 125 in the group that we call observers, individuals that in the past have indicated some level of interest in that. So that's where we are for total nationwide right now, 177, which leads me to the plug of if you're aware of people that you've never seen participate in this effort and you think they should be involved, by all means, please send me their name and their email address. I will check the database. And if they're already in there, then we won't do anything about it. But if they're not in there, we'd like to continue building out that contact database and adding names to it so that we can extend the reach. The website, as you can see, obviously the way that snapshots out of the system, we see a period of time when that website wasn't up. And so its first point of existence was in 2021. And you can see the gradual growth. Already in 2023, 358 people have gone across the website to date with over 1,000 and some views. So the website capability is, we're going to continue to build on that. And then MailChimp gives you a sense of July is usually not a good time to hold a meeting, but by the way things mapped out with trying to get us back on track, that's kind of where we ended up. So you can see there, we're improving the targeting in terms of successful deliveries at MailChimp. The openings have dropped, and then dramatically the click-throughs have dropped off. But that's also a function of the MailChimp in April was the only notification that was sent out, whereas the July effort had several communications wrapped up in that. So I'm going too fast, apparently. Jennifer, I'll just stop real quick. What link would you like to have dropped in the chat? Are you looking for the one for the website?
Yeah, the one for the website, and then what I was just looking on Facebook. What's the Facebook like page name?
Yeah, it links directly off the website.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so I just popped that up, and there you go. So I probably should come up for a breath of air now and then. What do you think? Okay.
It's all good. Thank you.
Okay. So YouTube, you can help us out if you'd subscribe. This is one of those things where every, like I indicated earlier, every organization starts out somewhere. And so we're taking the baby steps to get things moving along. And we've come up substantially in the number of views. If you can find 110 views, anything to be substantial, but we've almost doubled it within the last 2 months. So all good. We're continuing to try to build out the communications capability. Over to operations. If somebody be interested in serving as chair, that's what the note is down there, looking for the chair. And next open forum topic is the sort of thing that the individual working on the operations team leading that effort, that would be focused on event management, quarterly meeting development, outreach, and volunteer management. That's the sort of thing that builds capacity over time. And so we do have a volunteer form, and we've had 0 submissions on it. So just again, awareness, that website's out there. There's a volunteer form on it. If you're willing to play in any way, shape, or form, fill out the form, let us know, and we'll figure out how to plug you into this effort going forward. We're also looking for a permanent chair over at the technical team. Randy Knipple stuck up his hand and said he'd be willing to voluntarily serve in that capacity until one of the really sharp technical people come forward and say, hey, I'd like to lead the team that moves forward on focusing developments going, in the technical realm. So that's app development, implementation assistance, product documentation, and technical standards development. And we've got one project, I've got no progress up there, and that's largely because I'm focused elsewhere, and to the degree of trying to get that national USNG map library function up and operating, which allows anyone in the United States to add their USNG maps into that library so that they can be seen by anyone in the United States. So with hurricane season on the way, we should really be on the stick of getting that thing finished. And then finally, training. BJ Colstead, again, she's serving as the temporary chair of that. That group's effort going forward will be curriculum standardization, delivery of training events, instructor certification, and then training material development. So again, we're looking for a permanent chair there. If you're interested, let me know. And then training event page, it's now active. Another interesting thing on the website, which we are going to try to leverage as much as possible going forward, so that when there is a training event being conducted anywhere, that it's published there. And we will also support, as you'll see here in a moment, where we have a point of focus in trying to develop out a templated training website page that will support a local event, including the ability for people to register. And then also there's a effort to do some templating in terms of promotional emails and things of that nature. So if you're interested in trying to help out with the training effort, here's a way to streamline and facilitate training materials into the hands of others, so that we all can move forward more effectively. Okay, I'm going to come up for air for just a second. Any questions at this point? Hearing nothing, we move on to old business. Old business, a 1-year vision. We continue to move through the list. Things that we set out for this year to have completed, be positioned for first elected board of directors, get our quarterly large group meetings resumed and back on track. So this is this would be the second for the year, or I'm sorry, this would be the third for the year. And then the one in October will finish us out, and that puts us completely back on track for quarterly large group meetings. The nationwide database, as I indicated, is established, and we want to try to keep building on that. We have the ability to take donations, and the website, by and large, as much as anything is ever finished, is currently finished. So that leaves us with working on putting the work site in place that will support location for documents, internal type items that support the function of the institute, or product that the institute will put forward. Reps for each FEMA region. That project is, I hope to have completed sometime within the next couple of months. And then functioning organization administratively and operationally. Again, we keep trying to build towards capacity through the efforts that are being put forward. And then finally, consistent look and feel, professionalism. So that positions us to transition. If we can complete all of those things by the end of the year, the original agreement on that 1-year vision was it would position us in a way so that we are organizationally set up to move into the active encouragement and implementation, outreach, technical support, and training, to move from organization building to mission execution. New business. So you're aware of it. This one's been batted around a little bit, and there are essentially 3 related U.S. National Grid websites. The plan, as discussed at the last board of directors meeting, is to use the U.S. National Grid Institute site to be, if you will, the nexus for promotion and outreach. That many of when I built the original grid center, there was nothing in existence. So a lot of promotional kinds of things ended up over at the U.S. National Grid Center. And I've already transitioned many of them. If you look in that section on the current USNGI website, there will be migration of items that were over at the grid center. For instance, the Uncle Sam US National Grid Wants You poster will be available for download as a PDF, as a publisher file, anything that would be used. Same thing for backdrops, all of that stuff. We will be positioning those on the Grid Institute site so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just simply download the stuff and have it available to you. That implies that over at the US National Grid site, the center site, the lower left, we're going to transition to that, to containing strictly the technical and training type materials. Help's needed there because that site, many of the links have gone are dysfunctional, do not connect through, as people have pulled down videos and moved the locations of stuff. Links have been broke, and also it's built on a website that type that is no longer supported. So that entire US National Grid website is going to have to be rebuilt. So what's needed there is for a couple of smart eyes to wander through that website and make some list of what could potentially be moved over to the Institute site as promotional, and what things should go in the trash can, where links are broke, things of that nature. So again, if you're interested in working on something like that, by all means, drop me a line, because we can move things forward pretty quickly if in fact there's that kind of insight available. And then finally, down in the right-hand corner, this has been a nightmarish kind of circumstance for me personally, in that the original grid store was built out around the 2012, 2013 timeframe, and it remains problematic in both its implementation, and it needs to be completely rebuilt. But in terms of when we can get to it, it's going to have to take the seat behind working on the information center. So that's kind of the layout of the new business thrust item for now. This website plan, we think, is the thing that's most important to get on the stick about getting cleaned up and moving forward on. Are there any questions on that? Okay, hearing none. That takes us down to comments, announcements, or other business. I have nothing else to add, so the floor is open. Is there anything else that should be brought forward during this admin part of the meeting? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay, here we go. Adjournment. The end time I got here is at 2:33. We did not have quorum, so I did not open this as an official meeting. I provided it from an informational standpoint. The next meeting date and time is obviously not Wednesday, July 26th at 2 p.m. It's actually October 11th at 2 p.m. So they'll get a reminder here in just a second. So pencil it in for the time being, and I will go forward from there.
Hey, this is Jen. Real
Yep.
quick, I just wanted to say, I'm not sure. I saw Fred on here a little bit ago. I think maybe he had to drop off. But Fred, Lousy, and I did meet up at the Esri conference. And we talked all about ELM stuff and National Grid for a little bit. So thanks for putting that out there for me to contact people. So it did work out that I met up with Fred and some of his team. So that was really great.
Oh, that's excellent, because I hate to say it, but Fred has not received the kind of attention Fred deserves. Fred's working real hard. He's wrapping things up in Dane County, and obviously Dane having Madison as Wisconsin's capital, that would be an important inroad. So thank you very much for doing that, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sending that out.
My biggest regret is I didn't have awareness about the user conference to the degree that I should have, and we should have been happy to have set up a meetup of some sort, maybe in a back room at a bar and whatever. But
I can do that for you.
yeah, well, and I know some people that would write a check to cover it. So there you go. So think about, are you going, I don't know if it's an annual event for you, but if you're headed back there next year, let's coordinate earlier on that and see if we can get something more substantial, if you will, in terms of turnout for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no
Yeah.
big deal. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so that takes us to what opportunities should the USNGI pursue to promote U.S. national grid? So this is open forum. We'll start out with that question, and I'll shut up and write as the plan would be to go forward. So, nobody throwing pies at each other, but I'll open the floor. Who's got something they want to contribute? Bernard, you just sent me a whole great big long list. So why don't you start out? Are you still with us, Bernard? Or did we lose you?
Hello?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Am I
So-
on? I can't tell.
Yeah, Bernard, you're good to go. Can you tell? I mean,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Well, I think the list that I sent you, I think maybe you and I can just talk about that at some other time, but there is one thing I thought I would share with the group, which is that I've been trying to promote US National Grid with the Park Service. I live in Southern Marin in the Bay Area, and the Park Service. And what I learned was that 8 years ago, they were very interested in the US National Grid. And this is from the technical people here. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And I don't know why it stopped. Maybe it was new administration, 2016. I don't know what the reason was. But anyway, if anybody has any insight into the national parks and what their view of the US National Grid is, that would be helpful. I'd be happy to promote it out here. I'm friendly with the rangers and with the GIS people at the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, which is, all along here.
So they can reach out to the Chattahoochee. And so we have Kennesaw Mountain and the Chattahoochee National Recreation Area here in Cobb County, and we do use ELMS for National Grid in both those parks. So if they would reach out to their chief rangers, they could get more information about how it's being used, the number of frequency usage. They're actually big hotspots in our area for a number of 911 calls. So they're being used very frequently here. So if you get that kind of data to them, that might help support them getting them in the parks there.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I've been looking for. But what is it?
So-
Chattahoochee?
Chattahoochee National Recreation Area
Okay.
and Kennesaw Mountain.
Kennesaw Mountain.
Yep.
That'd
be a good
what
start.
State? It's
Georgia, sir.
What, Georgia, northern part
Yes.
of Georgia? Okay, got it. Okay, terrific.
Yeah,
I'm
hit
sorry, I
Cobb-
can't tell what your name is from the label there. Who am I speaking with?
That's Dave Ablashi. He's Cobb County.
Cobb County, okay. Steve
Sorry,
Abrassi,
Dave.
okay.
Your name comes up, I think, as your iPad ID or something.
Okay, terrific. Thanks a lot, Steve.
And if
I'll
you
look
need my
into that.
email, Steve has my email and my cell phone information. Feel free to give it. Anybody who needs to get information about like the Elm project or anything, you can pass that on.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote the elms here. I've got another guy, a local guy, and this would tie into it. So that's great. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Well, thank you,
Bernard,
Bernard.
this is BJ from Minnesota,
Hi.
and we've been working on a Northeastern Minnesota interagency search and rescue plan that's been in place and signed by 9 different jurisdictions with authority to do search and rescue in this area. One of them is Voyageurs National Park. And in that plan, it does state that US National Grid is the standard for search and rescue, both on the federal level as well as in the state of Minnesota. And so they've, signed that and agreed to that. And I wonder if that could serve as a model maybe for other places. It includes the 3 counties and the Minnesota State Department of Natural Resources, and it includes 2 tribal nations and a national monument and Voyageurs National Park.
So which is the national park? Could you say it again?
It's called Voyageurs National Park in Minnesota.
Voyageurs, okay. Yeah, and thank you for the information you gave me before. I'm going to meet with them. I'll do the best I can. Now they didn't know anything about this, so it's sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
And Bernard, Jennifer just dropped a link in the chat for you also.
Oh, okay, great.
So you're aware of it.
Grab it.
So we hit the wall already. One idea and that's it. Come on, there's got to be more out there. How about there isn't a currently good brochure out there, unless Dave's cooked something.
So we do have updated brochures, but they're very specific to the ELM program. They
Right.
do obviously mention National Grid, but we've actually got them on the waterway here now. We have them on Lake Allatoona in the part of Cobb County, and we have them along the Chattahoochee River in our jurisdiction. So they're flyers that are very good locally, but not necessarily nationally.
Right. We need a good promotional USNG, to help people get an understanding of what it is and that sort of thing. And there was one that was done in Minnesota back in 2009, 2010 timeframe. Plus there was the original USNG Elm brochure that was done for BJ's effort up in northern Minnesota. So that project, I think, would amount to reading through those 2 things and clipping out what would, be good pieces to have available going forward. Does that seem like a reasonable project? I'm not asking anybody to
Yes.
volunteer. I'm talking about.
I'd be happy to work on that, but with other people.
Well, Bernard, why don't you and I tackle it then?
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm going to throw in one of those items that I sent to you, Steve, since people aren't talking, which is what 3 words? I know that we're against what 3 words, and for good reason. But if you go on their website, it's very interesting and engaging and gets you involved in locational issues and so on. So I just wanted to ask what people think of that, because perhaps there's something we could do in the spirit of capitalist marketing theory, which seems very effective, that could help in the promotion of US National Grid. We don't have to lose our principles, which is good government and good for everybody and so on. But I can tell you they're really very they spend a lot of money on their promotion, and they get you right into US National Grid with your site, and you can do the navigation and so on and so forth. Very colorful. So what does everybody think of that? How they market versus our more traditional marketing?
I agree. I think they have a whole lot more money to do marketing and to do some things like that. I think, if you look at the link that I put in the chat, this is a new site that we built. We had an older one years ago. So this is a new one. We'd be happy to look into, maybe doing some stuff like that on the website, or you can put that on the website. I have no issues with that at all. If that helps, it's kind of an interactive, again, it's kind of specifically for Cobb County. However, it could be used or promoted, or maybe even look into something like that for the website and have some more interactive maps. And I don't know, sorry, that's my dog. If you can hear that. Sorry, it's sitting right here barking at me.
Well, your dog's trying to tell us his ideas.
Or that she wants a treat. Yeah, I think maybe if we could even look at, I don't know if you've looked at Esri, Esri is what we use to do a lot of our maps. If you've looked to promote it either with them or perhaps using some of their software to put the maps out on the website. I think that could kind of help be a little more engaging as well. If somebody can get in there with a map.
Maps. Got it. That's good.
I'd be happy to help with that.
Well, I'll take all the help I can
Great.
get.
Okay. And I think, I've seen a couple presentations because I really like this stuff. And What Three Words now has an inroad with Motorola in dispatching. So some organizations are being hit up for What Three Words from one of their partners, such as Motorola, for their dispatching centers.
Yeah. Yeah, they made a real hard run up in Minnesota, and Randy Knippel tells a story at Dakota County about them telling them basically pack your bags and get out of here kind of thing. Yeah, but I think, Bernard, if I would boil it down, your point is we need some more snaz. Jennifer's offering us some ideas about snaz, and she's going to help me, if you will, zip things up a little bit. So that'd be a good idea.
I think
This
there's
is
something
Fred
else.
Yowsley from Dane County. I guess the one thought in this discussion with My Three Words is that maybe we also need to do a better job of how do I want to use the correct word of maybe not bad mouthing this alternate system, but just pointing out that it might have a niche for its applications, but as emergency location markers, it's a less effective tool, and it is a proprietary application, so they do have a lot of marketing money and things like that, and just kind of take that approach. Just a thought.
So Fred, if you go to let me see if I can figure out how to get there. if you go to the USNG store, it's buried there. And of course, we're going to find out that it doesn't want us to go there. But if you go to frequently asked questions, there's a whole rundown here of, what about, how does this work? What about what 3 words?
Yep.
And I don't know if you were aware that's there, but is your point that we want to pull something like this over and make it more prominent in our cell?
In part, yeah, and just when we're talking with, other agencies and stuff like that, that we just don't get caught into a name calling, if you will, just to keep it a little bit more positive, but say, this is a better system than my 3 words. It has its niche. I know that for our 911 system, they have the ability to deal with it, because we do get text to 911 and somebody sends them 3 words, and we have to turn that into something.
Right. Got it. Okay. Good point. And I'll see what I can do about, again, if I'm working with Jennifer, we'll figure out, with what's up there right now, that was done from the sense of strictly pointing out just the facts, ma'am, kind of situation. Like, USNG is a free federally endorsed standard for siren response, which invites, follow-on inventive development. So, I mean, if you go right down that list, everything that's there is true. It's not name calling per se. It's saying, here's why this is a better system. And I think if we would spin it in that way again, I hope that would get you to where you're thinking we ought to go.
Steve, this is BJ from Minnesota. I'm curious whether we spent a lot of effort on training dispatchers how to use National Grid and to convert to National Grid from other lat-long formats. Would it be worth our while to include how to convert from what 3 words to US National Grid? I mean, on one hand, maybe we don't want to even mention it. On the other hand, if they're working with Motorola to encourage that for dispatch, and if dispatchers are getting people calling in with locations from what 3 words, perhaps it's worth our while to mention it and train them on how to convert it. And at that time, we could also put in a little pitch about just what Fred was saying about why it's not the best system for emergency response. It's just an extra step for them, for responders and dispatchers.
That's a good idea.
I guess my feeling would
I
be
like
that we don't need to be training somebody on somebody else's proprietary software, so proprietary application. That's just my feeling. If somebody wants to use my 3 words, then I think we need to focus on kind of our core mission. But I just wanted to bring up, that we just have to have a more positive message, I guess. And I like what Steve, you were bringing up, with kind of moving this and making it a little bit more, maybe update a little bit more and add some more arguments to it. But I don't think we need to be training somebody else. There's training somebody on somebody else's application.
Well, I'm going to defend BJ here, because I don't think she meant you're training on somebody else's application. I mean, if the idea of a public system is to be able to deal with everybody, no matter what kind of location they're saying, lat long or or whatever. And if it happens to be what 3 words or Google, what is it, plus codes or whatever. I mean, I think you just want to be able to deal with whatever people might be using. So I don't think there's a harm in that kind of being able to convert from what 3 words or anything else into US National Grid.
I would support that same concept just for the simple fact that for search and rescue responses, we need to be able to pull in whatever information is provided to us and be able to correlate it to the coordinate system that we're utilizing. It just increases interoperability between departments and case histories also.
Yeah, and it also puts what 3 words in its proper place because it's being promoted as a great solution for, and that's unfortunate. It's not a great solution. It's a very narrow solution. And but it should be put in its proper place. It has a place out there. It just shouldn't dominate and should be subsidiary, in other words.
This may be a question that may not be for this group, but I'm sure Steve has an opinion on it. I've been told for a number of years that there's a new datum that's coming within half a decade. Is that correct?
It was originally supposed to be here in 2022. And I have not kept up on that other than when we looked at the adjustment between what the USGS, or is it NOAA? I forget who's got the geodesy thing. It was less than a half a meter impact. So it, like you can see across the bottom of the ELMs, that breakout is there. Is that what you're asking about? I mean,
partially, but part of what I was told by a couple other people in the past who were part of GIS development was that that's also going to allow for a Z vector for locational responses, especially for municipalities and industrial applications, and even in building responses where you have an X and a Y, now you've got a Z to be able to throw into it. If that's going to be something that is supported with a datum change and moving into however that works out with the US National Grid, the proprietary processes probably aren't going to be able to pick up on that. So we would have a system with US National Grid that moves forward with other developments such as an updated datum, is my assumption.
wow. Okay. I'm going to have to defer that to the smart people on the call that do this GIS stuff. Maybe Gail's got some insights on that. My sense is maybe we're talking about apples and oranges. So one of the things that has always been a problem for any emergency response system has been that Z component. And, there have all been all kinds of technical solutions proposed for it, but is there anybody on the call that might be smart on this issue?
Without getting into too much of the actual details, that is one of the big impetuses of getting the national vertical datum and horizontal datum tied together in one thing. So the Z value will begin to be part of the new datum. And again, even when it comes into deployment here in 2024 and 2025, it is going to be named 2022 because that was when they started the actual measurements. So and the two big changes that people can get the bottom line understanding of it does put the two things together. They've always been separate, vertical and horizontal. And the other thing is this one involves a time component. So the datum's not fully defined unless you're telling you what epoch you're working in, because it's actually measuring plate tectonic motion and as well. So it's beyond the level of stuff that people who want to know how to get to something, like you said, half a meter, Steve, that the people who really care about all kinds of intricacies and accuracy over time, et cetera, know that this is a move towards better technology, but it's way below the level of necessary concern at the grid level here for USNG, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. We're talking the same thing here then.
When if you're a geek, it's cool, but it gets really confusing really fast if you're not a geek about it. So
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, this is Jen. I've got to log off for another meeting. Thanks so much. But I'll be in contact on how I can help you with that other stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
All
Jen.
right, thanks.
And Jen is rightfully pointing out we've hit the wall in terms of time. Are there any last minute closing kind of thoughts somebody wants to bring forward? Going once. Going twice. Well, in that case, what I would tell you then is, once again, next meeting, Wednesday, October 11th at 2 p.m. Central Time. We do have something that just popped into the, okay, and then we got here, keep this in mind going forward. Do what you can with what you have right where you are. So thanks everybody for making the effort to be to the meeting, and look forward to pressing forward, trying to make good things happen here. Thank you much.